Welcome, everybody, to our webinar on auditing and reporting for Office 365. I'm Paul Robichaux, the CTO of eNow and a Microsoft Exchange MVP. And today, Nathan, our speaker, is going to spend some time talking to you about auditing and reporting in Office 365, why you need it, what it's for, what Microsoft solutions do and don't do. We're really excited to be able to sponsor this webcast. I think that we find in talking to customers that a lot of them have questions about what Microsoft is doing for auditing and reporting. One of the natural consequences of going to 365 is that you trade off some of the control and the visibility that you have in your own environment in the hope that Microsoft is going to do a better job running your environment than you can yourself. That can be a hard transition for people to make. So at eNow, what we specialize in is making monitoring and reporting tools that help you verify whether or not Microsoft is actually delivering what they promise. We can monitor your on-premises environment. We can monitor hybrid environments. We monitor cloud-only environments across all of Microsoft's enterprise communication products. So Exchange, Skype, SharePoint, Active Directory, Office 365, so that you get real actionable insights into what's happening in your environment. You get real-time alerting when something bad happens or when something that's broken returns back to normal. And you get the visibility that you have to be able to run your systems, whether you are outsourcing the actual day-to-day administrative work of running those systems to Microsoft or not. So we're recording today's webinar. I'm going to be sending out a link, or Tracy will be sending out a link shortly after the webinar with a copy of the recording, or to give you access to the recording. If you have questions, feel free to submit them through the interface, and Nathan will grab them at the end. With that, I don't want to take any more of Nathan's time since I've already burned 2 whole minutes. So Nathan, take it away.
Outstanding. Thank you very much, Paul. And welcome, everybody. I'm Nathan O'Brien. Here's a little slide about eNow. Some eNow stuff there. It's a picture of their Mailscape product. Good stuff for monitoring and reporting. As I said, I'm Nathan O'Brien. My day job, I'm a consultant. I mostly make Exchange work, maybe some other stuff there. You can find my blog and Twitter on the page. Let's get into the real stuff. All right, so today we're going to talk about auditing and reporting for Office 365. First thing I want to say is I'm going to concentrate mostly on PowerShell, how to get that information in and out of PowerShell. We're going to do this next hour here. It's going to be real demo heavy. I'm going to do a lot of sharing my desktop and showing you PowerShell commands, showing you how to get the information, how it's going to work, how you can get that information back. There are some GUI-based tools, reporting tools, in the Office 365 portal that any of you with Office 365 tenants would certainly have access to. If we have time at the end of this hour, I will go into some of those a little bit. But honestly, I don't mind if that part falls off. I don't think they're really very great. I'm not a fan of them. What I really want to focus on is how you, as an Office 365 administrator, a customer of Office 365, can really use PowerShell to get in and see what's going on with your tenant, figure out how stuff works that way. If you want the pretty pictures, that sort of thing, I think there are much better solutions out there, much like eNow solutions that can give you that information better than the GUI tools in Office 365. What else do we have here? Office 365 isn't really just one thing. Office 365 is obviously a collection of Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Skype for Business Online, and then some other things thrown in there. So auditing and reporting in these different products is at different stages of development. Exchange, I think, is really, in many ways, a leading product for Microsoft. It's one of the first products to really be all PowerShell. It's got a lot better auditing and reporting tools available than, really, I think, in SharePoint and Skype for Business. So a lot of this is going to show around some of the Exchange capabilities and how those work. But a little bit into it, we are going to go into the unified search and auditing tools that allow you to look at some of the other products. And if at any point in this you have any questions as I'm going through these demos, feel free to put them up there in the conversation, in the little IM chat window. I'll try to address questions as I go along. I want this to be more, interactive. I don't have a whole bunch of slides here. This is going to be more about showing you how stuff works and really doing it. So auditing and reporting in Office 365, really there's two different categories of it. There's the Exchange auditing and reporting, and there's everything else that Microsoft is working on, trying to bring up to the level where Exchange is at. So we're going to kind of break it down like that. We're going to start with Exchange. I'm going to show you how the Exchange stuff works. Then we'll go back around and show you how some of the other stuff works, where you can get some of that other information. I'm going to start with mailbox auditing. Mailbox auditing in Office 365, Exchange Online, is really all about figuring out what happened in an individual's mailbox. Who did what, when they did it. Probably can't tell you why they did it. You'll have to ask them, the person who made those changes themselves. Mailbox auditing was first introduced in Exchange 2007 Service Pack 2, so it's been around a while, close to 10 years that Exchange has really been doing this. It's good, it's fairly mature, gives you a lot of information. There are three types of mailbox auditing within Exchange Online, or any version of Exchange. Owner auditing, that's obviously the mailbox owner, the person who owns that mailbox, what they're doing to the mailbox. It's delegate auditing. Those are the people that the mailbox owner delegates rights to so that they can have access to the mailbox. It audits what they do. And then it can audit administrator logging, administrator auditing, so you can see what administrators do who the mailbox owner doesn't have to give permission because they're administrators to access that mailbox. And then mailbox auditing is not on by default, either in Exchange on-premises or Exchange Online. So if you do want mailbox auditing turned on, you have to turn it on. We're going to go through that process here in just a minute. We're going to start with first demo, how to enable mailbox auditing. I'm going to switch over here to my desktop, show you how to turn this on, how it all works. It is connecting. Looks like it is connected. Hopefully you can all see that. I have a PowerShell console up there. It's actually PowerShell ISE. I loaded up with all the commands I'm going to use here up at the top. First thing we're going to do, this is connected to my personal Office 365 tenant, my MCSM lab tenant there. We're going to run get mailbox for my mailbox, and then we're going to format that output to show you the auditing commands. So you can see for my mailbox, auditing is enabled. The audit log age limit is set to about 2,500 days and change. That number you see up there is the maximum amount of time that you can keep mailbox audit logs for a mailbox in Office 365. That's 2,500 days. If you do the math on that real quick, comes out to about 68 years. So you can keep the data in there for quite a long time. It is important to remember that that data is kept in the user's mailbox in a hidden folder. And in a little bit, we're going to show you how to see that, how to see how big it is, but that does count against your mailbox size limit. So if you audit everything and keep it for 68 years, potentially that could affect the amount of data that that user can actually store in their mailbox because there's all this auditing information stored there. Under that, we have audit admin, delegate, and owner. You can see there that shows you what actions are being audited under each of these categories. Obviously, under this get mailbox command, those entries are truncated, so you can't see exactly what's audited for each one. So this next command I'm going to do, I'm going to run get mailbox again, and then I'm going to expand the property for audit admin. Here up on the screen now, you can see these are the things that are audited for admin. I have everything turned on for my mailbox, so if an admin makes any changes to my mailbox, those are the things that are updated. Those are things that are audited. Update copy if somebody moves, that sort of thing. Again, same thing for audit owner. These are the actions that are audited by owner or made by owners that are audited. And these are delegate actions that are audited. So you can see that's what's audited for each of those three categories. Next command we're going to do here. Again, I'm going to get mailbox. I'm going to put this into a table. You're going to see all the mailboxes in my tenant, and you can see which mailboxes auditing is enabled for. So here you can see I've got these mailboxes set up in my tenant. My mailbox is the only one for which I have turned on auditing. You can see, but you can't read the little type. Okay, I can probably see if I can make this a little better. Bigger? Better? Okay. Made this a bit bigger. Makes it easier to see. Alrighty. So these are the mailboxes in my tenant. You can see auditing is only turned on for my mailbox. And again, by default, in your Office 365 tenant, mailbox auditing isn't turned on for anybody. Another way to do this, I'm going to run get mailbox here, and then run where object. Anybody who's audit enabled is set to true, and then make that into a table. So here you can see just a little bit different view. This will work a little better if you have I've only got 6 mailboxes in my tenant. Here, much larger tenant. This will show you all the mailboxes that have auditing turned on. Opposite of that command would be audit enabled not equals true. These are the mailboxes for which auditing is not turned on in my tenant. Allow you to go through and see which mailboxes are being audited or not. Next command, I'm going to run set mailbox. I'm going to take Joe's mailbox here, and I'm going to turn on auditing. It's just set mailbox for Joe, audit enabled equals true. Doesn't really give you any feedback there, just, Joe's mailbox is now audit enabled. Switch back to the deck here. All right. So this slide shows you a table of what mailbox actions are logged for each of those 3 categories and a description of what each of those things is. Down here, audited by default if auditing is enabled for a mailbox. So like I just did with Joe's mailbox, if you go in, set mailbox for you, audit enabled equals true, the actions with the star next to them are the ones that are going to be turned on by default. If you want other actions audited, you have to turn those on manually. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. I think all these actions are fairly self-explanatory. Maybe bind ones. So message bind is somebody accessing a message, somebody actually pulling it up and being able to read it. Same thing as folder bind here. That's somebody accessing a folder. Other than that, I think all those actions are fairly self-explanatory, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw those up. All right, back to another demo here. We're going to show you how to configure mailbox auditing. Switching back to my desktop. All right. Back on my desktop here. So first command we're going to do is for Joe's mailbox, the one I just turned on auditing. I'm going to set audit admin to none, audit delegate to none, audit owner to none. So basically what I did, Joe's mailbox still auditing is enabled for, but none of those specific actions are audited. So this is essentially the same thing as Joe not having auditing enabled. Do again the get mailbox for Joe. We can see mailbox auditing is enabled for Joe, but he has no mailbox audit age limit and no actions are audited. So basically he's not really being audited. If we go this next set mailbox command, what we're going to do is take Joe's mailbox, and for delegate we're going to turn on create, folder bind, these actions. I believe that's all the actions for delegate. Now we go back to the Joe's mailbox and we can set audit enabled to false. Turns off auditing for Joe. One more time we do get mailbox. We can see those changes reflected in PowerShell here. Auditing is now set to false, but these are the items that would be audited if we turned back on auditing for Joe's mailbox. Set that audit log age limit is this next command here. Set mailbox Joe, audit log age limit, and then that 24855.03:14:17, that is the maximum amount of time that you can audit a mailbox for. If you set it any higher than that, you'll get error. Going back to Joe's mailbox again, we can see auditing still not enabled, audit for 68 years, and these are the actions. So I did mention that when you turn on mailbox auditing, that audit log information is kept in your mailbox. It's in a hidden folder in your mailbox. It's not a folder that's going to show up for you in Outlook, but it does keep that information all within your mailbox. So what we're doing here, get mailbox folder statistics for my mailbox, and then where object, I just pulled up the audits folder, and then I made it into a table. So we can see that for my mailbox, the audits table is, or the audits folder is, about 7 megabytes. Not terribly huge, not taking up a bunch of space. I think I probably only had it turned on for a short amount of time in my tenant. But do remember, if you're going to leave auditing enabled, that will grow over time, may cause an issue with users if they're really big. They have nearly 50 gigabyte mailboxes. Turning on auditing can take up some of that space that those users might expect. So what I'm going to do for Joe's mailbox, if I need to dump that information out, I'm going to set his mailbox to an audit age limit of 0. Gives you this pop-up, says you've set 0, so we go ahead, yes. And then if I want to dump all that information, I can either let it go, it will be deleted, or I can start the Manage Folder Assistant on Joe. That'll go ahead, process his mailbox, delete everything out of there, so that now if I go back to Joe's mailbox, we can see that he doesn't have any data in his audits folder there. There's no audits folder for Joe at all, so we're not using any of his mailbox quota for that. All right, so our second demo. Go back to my slides here, just 1 second. All right, so the third demo I'm going to do, we're going to talk about searching the mailbox audit log. I'm going to show you how to go through that audit log, see who's done what, when. Search for limited results, search the whole log, whole deal, all kinds of stuff. So one quick switch back to my monitor. All right, should be up now. Everybody can see that, hopefully. Let me clear this off. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to search the mailbox audit log for my mailbox. I'm going to hit Show Details. Run that. As we just showed a couple minutes ago, when I looked at my mailbox, that audit log folder, there were about 2,500 entries in the mailbox audit log for my mailbox. So right now you're seeing a whole bunch of nonsense scroll past the screen. Obviously, this isn't terribly useful in this format to anybody. So what we're going to do, we're going to work on finding specific information out of there. Next command we're going to do, we're going to search that mailbox audit log, my mailbox. We're going to show details. We're going to limit to a result size of 10. So we're going to show the last 10 results from the mailbox audit log for my mailbox. Now I'm just going to make it into a little table. So here we can see this is what I've done. It's fairly recent, this morning. Login events, those will happen all the time, both on my phone, my FAT client, and then I deleted stuff from my mailbox a little bit earlier this morning. So, those are the most recent things that I've done in my mailbox. Let's do a more focused search on my mailbox here. We're going to, between date 410 and 412, we're going to look for where object, the operation move to deleted items, hard delete, soft delete for the inbox. So this is the sort of thing you'd want to use if, we'll say, Sally in accounting comes to you and says, hey, somebody deleted an email I needed from my inbox. What happened? Run this command, and it will tell you. There you go. So between those dates, 410 and 412, these were the deleted items from my mailbox. You can see I did all of them. They were all login type owner. I made all those deletions. This is the subject line of the emails that were deleted. Looks like mostly nonsense. And they were all moved to deleted items. So it's all stuff that is in my inbox. I highlighted, hit the delete key. It's all moved to deleted items. So that's a bit of useful information there for you. Somebody comes and says, hey, who deleted what? This next, we're going to do a mailbox audit log search. So besides just your standard PowerShell, run this search, get the result immediately on the screen, within Office 365, you can also create a new mailbox audit log search. What this is going to do, it's going to search specified mailboxes, show you the details, login types, delegate for these dates, 4/6 to 4/7, and then it's going to send a results email to me. So this, run that. That queues up a search, and then Office 365 is going to send me an email with the information, the results that it finds. I have a previous one in here. I will show you what I do with that. Here we go. So the results it's going to send you back is going to be an email that looks like this. Tells you your search here. I did a search for set mailbox commandlets, and then it attaches this XML document. I'm going to open this with Edge browser, and it gives you this. Not terribly useful in this format. Most people aren't really going to find great use for this, but this is the XML formatted results you're going to get from that mailbox search. If you really wanted to make sense of this, I would probably recommend, some other application to look at this XML file, parse it out, put it into a much more readable format. I'm not really going to go into that too much here. I'm just going to leave this as it is. But that's the results of the audit log search. So here's the, we can run get audit log search and see what searches are running. So this is going to show you this demo search mailbox that I just created a minute ago. Right there. It was created just a couple minutes ago. Created by, expanded that out and show me it's doing a mailbox search. We also have get admin audit config. So this will show you the admin audit logging configuration in Office 365. Admin audit logging, unlike mailbox audit logging, is turned on Office 365. You actually cannot turn it off. Admin audit logging, so logging what administrators are doing, is turned on in Office 365. You can't turn it off. There is a set admin audit log config command is available in Office 365. But if you look at it, you'll see there's very few switches that you can do. There really isn't much, just the debug, verbose, that sort of thing. And this unified log ingestion enabled is really the only switch that's available to you. And you really wouldn't want to turn on the unified audit logging here. That's done in the GUI in the Security and Compliance Center. We'll show you that a bit later. So really, you don't have much control over setting the admin audit log config, even though that set command is available to you. It doesn't do a whole lot. Here we're going to run search admin audit log for commandlets. Start with set. This is going to show us any commandlets that will start with set that have been run in my tenant. Okay, so it shows us a big list of all the set commands that have recently been run in my tenant. It keeps 30 days worth of information here. I ran a few set mailboxes. I actually, that was during this demo. All the rest of these, where the name is start out, that means this was run by Office 365. This is one of their maintenance scripts, or they were updating something. It's not going to show you specifically who did what. But if there was an issue, you could you could open a support case and get more information on that. Although they're probably not going to tell you that Bob did anything. They would, show you what was changed if you needed that information for any reason. These are all the set commands. To do that a little bit differently, I'm going to run that same search admin audit log. We're going to run it out to a grid view. So I'll give you a little bit different view of that. Over here is the results. This gives you a little bit more of a little different look at what commands, again, will run admin audit log on your tenant. Or if you just wanted to know what type of commands are being run, this next command, we're going to search the admin audit log for these specific dates, 4/1 to 4/10. We're going to do it for external access, so that's people outside of my tenant that run that. It's really Office 365 administrative tasks, that sort of thing. And then we're going to sort it by commandlet name, and we're going to group it by commandlet name. So really what I'm looking for here is just what commands have been run recently in my Office 365 tenant. There you can see a count. Set mailbox was run 15 times by somebody external to my administrators by Office 365, that sort of thing. Same with the mailbox audit log search. We have the admin audit log search, so I'm going to run this new admin audit log search, give it demo search admin for these specific dates, look for set mailbox commandlets, run that there. Again, that's going to do the same thing. It will send me an email when it's completed, give me that same format, all in XML, not terribly readable. You can see these are the two searches that are running now. I have an admin audit log search and a mailbox audit log search running in my tenants. All right, let me switch back to the slide deck. Oh, lost my place there. Didn't save. That's all right. We'll flip through these. All right, so now we're going to go into auditing across applications, multiple applications in Office 365. As we said, the Exchange auditing is more mature in Office 365, but they are working on building this level of auditing, all this information, into SharePoint and Skype for Business and the other applications, Azure Active Directory, within Office 365. They've created the Unified Audit Log. It's available GUI in the Office 365 Compliance Center. You'll have a new icon in your waffle menu in Office 365. We'll show you that in a minute, where you can go into that Office 365 Compliance Center, or you can access this all via PowerShell. When you do access this all via PowerShell, you can access it from within Exchange Online. So the auditing in Office 365 is still built on Exchange, and it all pipes this information. Yes, the presentation will be available afterwards. It all pipes this information, and it's stored in Exchange for you. So this is a little picture of the centralized compliant audit storage architecture that I stole from a TechNet article here. Kind of gives you an overview of how it works. Exchange, Azure Active Directory, and SharePoint, the auditing is all piped into Exchange, so you can access it from the Exchange PowerShell commandlets. So we're going to show you how to search the Unified Audit Log for this sort of information: SharePoint, Azure Active Directory operations, Azure Active Directory account operations. Let me switch back to my desktop again for the fourth demo. And again, of course, if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them up there. We've got a little time in here built in for that sort of thing. All right. Let me clear this. Okay, so search Unified Audit Log. I'm going to do 4/1 to 4/10. I'm going to look for SharePoint file operations, and I'm just going to do result size 1. So it's going to show me the most recent SharePoint file operation in my entire tenant. All right, so here we have, it was a file was modified, and this area right here, the audit data, is really the important stuff that's kept for auditing SharePoint. Obviously, in this format, it's a little bit hard to read. This is all JSON format. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a variable called output, and I'm going to put all that, this whole command, into that variable. Then I'm going to create another variable called results, and I'm going to convert from JSON the output.audit data. So just this section, the audit data section, convert that into the results variable. And then if I pipe out results to the screen, we can see all this JSON data here is laid out now much better for us here. So we can see that first result, file operation result that I got, was the file was modified. It was modified by me. Here's the file that was modified. This is the auditing and reporting for Office 365 PowerPoint. It's a slide deck that we're going through right now. You can see there's the site URL. That's my OneDrive site. There's the file that was modified. It's in the Documents Presentations folder. So we can see all that information about what files are modified in both SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business, which is really just a SharePoint site. All right, so let's take that a little bit further. We're going to search the Unified Audit Log for these, 4.1 to 4.10. Again, we're going to look at SharePoint file operations against a specific file now. So I want to see what happened against this specific file, the PowerPoint deck for this, and then I'm going to format that into a table. Do this, and okay, so between 4.1 and 4.10, I was accessing this file a bunch. I modified it and accessed it. See, it was all me. These are all the times that I was working on this deck, setting up this presentation for you. So a little bit more specific, we're going to do the same thing, search Unified Audit Log. This time we're going to do 1.1 to 5.4. Now, it only keeps 90 days of data. But I'm going to show, I'm going to try and pull the whole year's worth of data. It's not going to give me results for that. And then again, this is against this file. And I'm going to format it into a table again. So again, we can see back to 4.8. That's probably when I created that file. All the changes every time that I've accessed and modified this specific file. All right. If I wanted to just see when somebody modified this file, so again, I'm going to search the Unified Audit Log between the dates, SharePoint file operation, this specific file. I'm going to pipe that to where object. Look at the operations area, this record right here. And I just want file modified. So I'm just going to look at when that file was modified. There I can see every time that file was changed. Again, this works for all the files stored in your SharePoint and your OneDrive for Business sites. So somebody comes to you and says, hey, something changed in my file. Are there any specific roles or permissions needed to be able to complete the different commands? Not for any of, global admin or whatever the Office 365, what's it called, the tenant administrator role, whatever that one is. For all this, just the tenant administrator. If you wanted to delegate this out to somebody without the tenant administrator role, for this SharePoint stuff, they don't need access to SharePoint itself. They need access to the Unified Audit Log. So you wouldn't have to give somebody access to, say, your OneDrive for Business, all the customers, all your users' OneDrive for Business folders. they could have access to just the unified audit log if you wanted to RBAC that down. Yeah, global admin. There you go, Jeff. All right, that's good times. Okay, so going back to search the unified audit log. Again, we're going to do this for the first part of 4.1 to 4.10. We're going to look for Azure Active Directory records this time, and we're going to create that into a table. So this shows all the changes made in Azure Active Directory between these dates. You can see here I updated the company information a couple times. I updated the user. You can see I set the company information. These other entries by this user ID, update group, that's actually being made by Dursing. So I must have changed membership for a group, that sort of thing in my on-premises Active Directory. Those were Dursynced up into Office 365. That's why this ID is showing there. All right, next one we have here, search the Unified Audit Log for Azure Active Directory account login. So here we can see who logged into Azure Active Directory during this specific time frame. If I want to see when my users are logging in, I could obviously sort this for, if I wanted to look for just when I logged in or when Mike logged in, the only other person that's logged into my tenant in that time. And give me that information. Good times. All right, let's switch back to my slide deck here. All right, so that's the searching the unified audit log. A lot of this information that I've been covering. There's also the web reporting service that's recently been added into Office 365. Gives you a whole bunch of web reporting information. We can see the reports that are set up here. There is a GUI report for each of these as well as a PowerShell command. So we can get mail traffic reports either from the GUI or there is a get mail traffic report here in PowerShell. I'm going to go through a couple of these reports in PowerShell, show you what they look like. I'll leave it to you if you want to look at the GUI reports yourself. In the notes for the slide, there is a link to the MSDN page that I copied all these links from, so you can see what all these commands are and where all the reports are. So we're going to go back to the reporting web service for the next demo, show you how to get some of these reports out of Office 365. Switching back again to my monitor. All right, figure that out. So first one, these are all pre-canned reports that are set up by Office 365, and they give you an easy PowerShell to access them. First one is Get MX Report, Record Report. So this is going to show me the MX records for my tenant. Runs a little slow, as many things in Office 365 do. Runs a little slower than I'd expect. There it goes. Okay, so these are the MX records that it pulls up for my tenant. See, there's MCSM Lab. This is the domain. There's the record. My protection goes to that IP address. All MX records set up for my domain. This is Outbound Connector Report. So this will show me the outbound connectors that are set up in my Office 365 tenant. This is the same as going into the Exchange Enterprise or the Exchange Admin Console and looking at your connectors, your send connectors. Here you can see on my tenant I have one. This was set up by hybrid configuration wizard back to my on-premises Exchange servers. Get message trace. This is useful. So I want to do a message trace for my account between 5/2 and 5/4. So we're going to show all the messages that I sent between those dates. Oh, good. Nothing terrible. So we can see, these are all me, and I sent to, there's 1105 Media, some webcast I'm setting up. There's a April timesheet for somebody, and there's stuff about this webinar that I sent to Joel and Paul and stuff. So those are it's message trace for my account for those few days. Mail traffic summary report. So this here we're going to see the mail traffic summary. We're going to look for the top sender in January. I'm going to go ahead and bet that the top sender in my tenant is going to be me because I'm the only one who really uses it. There we go. I send the most mail in my tenant, followed up by postmaster. So good stuff there. Probably not terribly exciting in my tenant, but in your Office 365 tenant, that might be a little bit more interesting information. Here's the mailbox traffic summary report for the top spam recipient. So we can see who is receiving the most spam in our Office 365 tenants. Again, I'm the winner there in my tenant. Get stale mailbox detail report. So this report is going to show us the mailboxes that we have set up in our tenant that are not being used. I'm sure I've got a few of them set up. Excuse me there. So here we have, I've set up mailboxes for Mike. He hasn't logged in over a year. Yes, message trace is UTC. So yeah, so this 8:13 p.m. is not really 8:13 p.m. It's probably about noon because I'm in Pacific, so it's -8. That's correct. So those are stale mailboxes. These are people that have licenses. They have mailboxes in Office 365. They're not logging in. Might be useful information, especially if you have a larger tenant and you need to reclaim some licenses instead of wasting them on people that aren't logging in. Get connection by client type detail report. So this is going to show who's connecting by specific client type. Again, I limited it to that 1 week and a half there, and you can see it's mostly me logging in via OWA and EWS. Showing some different types of information. Here's a little Skype for Business information. We're going to do Get CS Conference Report. We're going to do a monthly report for January. There's nothing there, so I didn't have any conferences in my Skype for Business tenant in January. But we can see there's the tenant name, total conferences, AV conferences, IM conferences, all bunch of information. No, the stale mailbox commandlet does not show other mail-enabled objects. That's really for licensing purposes. So, a group isn't going to consume a license, so there wouldn't be any reason to put that into that report. That's just, this guy Mike, I gave him a license. He hasn't logged in over a year. Maybe I want to take that back. Use that for something else. That sort of thing. Here is the Get Conference time report. So this is going to show how much time I'm spending, running these different AV conferences. Obviously, in January, I didn't have any conferences, so it was 0 minutes. Some other stuff. We can connect to MSOL service. What do we have here? Okay, so this will show unlicensed users. I have to grab my password if I'm going to do that. So this is connecting me to Azure Active Directory now. Okay, and then I can get MSOL user. This is going to show me users that are unlicensed. These are the accounts that have been created but are not licensed. And then is licensed, provisioning status. So this is disabled accounts that are licensed. No, those aren't just. These are accounts that are licensed. I don't know what I was going for. Provisioning status, not equal to disabled. So these are licensed but not disabled accounts. Alrighty, let's go back to the slide deck. We got about 15 minutes left here. This is the point where I'm going to get in and show a little more of the Actually, before I go into the GUI stuff, the Security and Compliance Center. So this is a new addition to Office 365 Microsoft is working on. They've created this Security and Compliance Center. It's going to be, or is intended to be, kind of a one-stop shop for all your security and compliance needs. At this time, it's a little bit of a hodgepodge of different pieces of the Office 365 administrative experience that Microsoft is trying to pull together. It's really not all worked out yet. It's very new. Name has changed a few times. Functionality has changed a few times. Go ahead and check it out. It's nice to look at, but this isn't something that I'd really rely on yet. But what we can do is we can connect to the Security and Compliance Center via PowerShell, and we can look at some of the commands that are available there. So I'm going to go back here to my desktop one more time. All right. So here, my command to connect to the Security and Compliance Center. You can see there is a different URI. This is compliance.protection.outlook.com. I am not connecting to Exchange Online here. Connecting to the specific Security Compliance Center commands. And it's going to load slowly because it's Office 365 and things take a while. Nothing's ever fast. All right. So as we just connected to that Security Compliance Center, you can see here, there's the module name. I have actually the module in my command saved from the last time I did this. For some reason, it gives this odd temp module name, but if I change this here, these are the commands that are loaded in the Security and Compliance Center. So these are the PowerShell commands that logging into the Security and Compliance Center give you. These are the functionality that you have PowerShelling into here. So I encourage you to all, look through these, play with these a little bit. I went through them. I've got a few of them I want to show you. So device configuration policy. You can see here I have one device configuration policy that's set up in my tenants. Must have been, called it test policy, so I must have been messing around. OneDrive for Business on iPhone. I guess I set that up to control OneDrive for Business connection on my iPhone or something. Here we're going to do get hold compliance policy. Okay, so I have one hold compliance policy is set up. In SharePoint, I called it jobs. It's doing Exchange in SharePoint, and it's holding information that meets this criteria. I have an get eDiscovery case admin. Okay, so I am the only eDiscovery case administrator set up in my tenant. Probably that would be expected. Here's we can show all the compliance searches that have been done in my tenant that are currently set up. So I have a test search that was set up by me on 427, and I have specific job was another compliance search that was set up on me. So let's look at this Get Compliant search. It was set up 2/9, so in February, by me. It found 25,000 items, and size of that is, geez, that looks like about 20 gigs. It's pretty big, so I would guess that that test search, I probably did a search against my entire mailbox, held everything that was in my mailbox, would be my guess for what that is. You can see more details on that compliance search in the GUI. I'll show you that in a second. Here's the compliance search for the specific job. Okay, so this specific job search, it showed 2 items when I did that one. So let's do this. New compliance search action for that specific job. I'm going to purge, soft delete those items. So I set up a compliance search for, I called it specific job. I assume this was for emails about a specific job. It returned 2 items, so I'm going to purge those 2 items right here. Again, it gives me a little warning. Do you want to perform this action? Unable to execute task. Oh, search results aren't up to date, so I haven't run this search in a little while. I'd have to rerun this search before I could purge those items. Let's see. Question from portal perspective: is compliance.protection.outlook.com the same as protection.outlook.com? Protection.outlook.com is for EOP, and the compliance.protection.outlook.com is for the compliance center. So no, they're not the same. So I would have to rerun this compliance search before I could delete those items. Let's do Get Compliance Search Actions. Okay, so here we can see I have those jobs were started, a while ago. So that's why they're not up to date, but they were completed. All right, I've just got a couple minutes left, as I expect. I'm not going to have a ton of time to go into this portal, but this is the Exchange Compliance Management Auditing. There are some pre-canned reports here. You can certainly look at these, non-owner mailbox access report, that sort of thing. As we're just about out of time, I'm not going to really spend much time on those. But let's look here at the Security and Compliance Center. One thing I did want to show you, here's the audit log search. So this, in the Security and Compliance Center, audit log search, allows you to have a GUI search for a whole bunch of different things. This is a really big, powerful search. When you first come in here in your tenant, you're going to see a button up here to turn this on. That's the enable that unified audit log search. Does this mean Microsoft is bringing back the Compliance Center where we can carry out certain filtering tasks like the old days? So yeah, Microsoft is bringing this Security and Compliance Center. I don't expect that it'll end up looking, like what you're talking about. This is going to be a new thing. All these tasks we can do in here in the audit log search. So we can look for checked in file from 427 to 55. I can do that search, see if any files, and it couldn't be completed. Nope, didn't like that. Let's see, we'll see deleted file. Oh. Let's see if we can get this to work. So here we're doing the audit log search on that unified audit log in the GUI. We're looking for any deleted files. Again, Office 365. It's a little slow, but there we go. So I deleted a file, auditing and reporting psdemo.txt. So that's actually that text file. I must have deleted that from my OneDrive for Business site. I loaded that up there. You can see here I deleted it from my Mozilla browser. It was obviously me. You can even see the IP address that I deleted that from. I connected from when I deleted it. So all kinds of information. Again, this search audit log, there is a ton of stuff here. We're not going to have time to show you how all this, but user administration activities, group administration activities, application administrative activities. There's really a lot in here. A lot of it is going to be expanding. Microsoft is still building this out. They're making it bigger and better, putting more information into here. So, this is good stuff. Make yourself familiar with it. We are coming up on the top of the hour, so I am going to see if anybody has any more questions that they'd like me to address. Then we're going to wrap this thing up. Let's see. Where to use prefix. Yeah. Okay. Accessing GUI, mailbox reports, compliance and auditing center there. All right. So wrapping things up, PowerShell. Really, hopefully we showed you over the last hour here. You can use PowerShell to get a lot of this information in your Office 365 tenant. Works really well. There are some canned reports, again, available in the GUI. Currently not very flexible. I like to use PowerShell myself. Maybe those PowerShell reports aren't really going to be for the management type people. You might want to look on another reporting solution, much like eNow has there, for that sort of thing. Anybody have any questions before we wrap this thing up?
So I see that Rolando has a question about whether you can run a report to see which clients have synchronized with OneDrive for Business. Microsoft has some APIs that they make available for gathering data about OneDrive syncs, but I don't think they're exposed through PowerShell right now. We're actually adding OneDrive reporting, including that report, to the next release of our product, because we've had tons of customers come to us and say, okay, I got an Exchange Online. I love the cloud. The next thing I want to implement is OneDrive for Business, now that it's at a stage where you can actually use it. But the reporting and auditing there is super important, because otherwise you have no way to tell what people have in their OneDrive libraries, what they're doing with it, who they've shared it with, and so on. So reporting there, both from a compliance standpoint, but also just from an admin standpoint, is super important.
Yep, not available in PowerShell yet, but they do have the APIs that friends at eNow are working on getting that all going for you.
Yep, we sure are. Thanks, Nathan. I actually learned a couple of things from this, which is always enjoyable. But I think you did a really good job of providing an overview of what that reporting and auditing tool set in Office 365 looks like. Microsoft has put a huge amount of effort into Office 365 from top to bottom, but their reporting really has been closer to the bottom than the top, right? They focused more on things like the new admin center, the security and compliance center that you showed, because they're getting pressure from their larger enterprise customers to improve the way that they provide compliance tools and how they handle compliance. So at eNow, we're exploiting that gap as much as we can by continuing to push out reporting features that Microsoft doesn't have and can't offer, so that when people want to know what's happening in part of their environment, we give them a report to show it to them. So if you'd like to know more, you can drop by our website at enowsoftware.com or drop me a line at paul.robichaux@enowsoftware.com. So we've mentioned this a couple times, but we're going to be sending out a link with a recording shortly. I saw that there was a question asking whether we would be able to make Nathan's PowerShell scripts or PowerShell transcripts available. We'll see if we can figure out a good way to do that. Normally we publish our recordings on YouTube, and I don't think we can put PowerShell up there, but hopefully we can find some way to distribute it.
If you want to send out the deck to everybody, in the notes on each of those demo slides is all the PowerShell commands that I ran. So if you want to send out that deck, that would have them available that way.
Fantastic. Then Tracy can do that when she sends out the announcement about the recording. All right, well, with that said, thank you all for attending. Have a great rest of your week, and thanks again, Nathan.
Thank you. Take care.